Hey everybody, welcome to Tavern Talk. I'm Chris.
Evening.
We got Pete and Renee. Um,
Hello.
Hello.
actually, Pete and Renee.
Oh,
Which way? There.
I'm
There.
below you.
Yeah.
Hi.
On mine, yeah.
Okay.
And on the stream. So this is our D&D talk. Russ will probably be joining us in a little bit. He said he was running a little late. He was actually grocery shopping.
Lame.
Adulting. What are you gonna do?
I made it here on time.
um, yeah, but Russ is almost never on time for anything.
No.
And he's gonna give us shit because we're making fun of him now. Because
No, it
Should
seems
have been
like
here on time.
No, last game we were all like really early, weren't we?
yeah, actually, most of you beat me on for the last game. So, how you guys doing? Everything going good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Pretty well. Just looking
Super
forward to
tired.
Friday.
yeah, yeah. We play this Friday, 7 o'clock, right here on Twitch. I am looking forward to it, although I've still got a lot of work to do. I got to get some stuff out to you guys that I promised last time. So yeah, the for those that don't know, so let's do a quick. I'll do a quick recap of what I remember from the last game. You guys can fill in some stuff because,
Sure.
in all honesty, I'm thinking back on it and I'm like, I don't remember everything that happened. So the you guys were in the Kobold Warrens still. You had just finished the fight. We kept going in combat because you decided you wanted to chase the drow.
Yeah.
So you follow him up to a small cavern, and they send the squishy wizard because he's the smallest one and the only one that can actually fit in the little tunnel because it's basically made for kobolds.
So pissed that he got away.
Squeezes through, gets hit with all of a sudden a couple of Eldritch blasts come flying in.
And did I get did I spring a trap as well?
That was later. Because that was the other thing. Then you came back. You guys decided not to continue after the draw that way and go look for something outside. Maybe there was another way in. So you went and I forget. I think it was Ian. I think it was Phelan that
I sprung a trap
you sprung a trap.
at some. Yeah, in the chest.
Oh yeah, you sprung the trap on the chest, the glyph of warding that blew up in your face.
Yep.
That's right.
And then I think it was Phelan found the other small little pathway and said, "Hey, Euchariah, go check this one out." And you went down there, and that's when you tripped the tripwire that dropped the ceiling on you. You made your save.
Yep.
So you only took half damage, but you were able to. But you still got hit with a couple of rocks.
The last time that we had Tavern Talk, I brought up the fact that, do we have any backup characters? You challenged me on that one, as though I might have to actually consider bringing one of them in, because it got pretty bad. After doing the chase, I think I was only at half health after that big fight, and that's when I decided to go around and try and do the searching, and I got down to I think 4 hit points. when you were saying, okay, roll for initiative, and I tried to back out, and I was able to use, if I didn't have that shield on my ring and throw that up there, I would have been down. I think that's what saved me, and I was able to get the hell out of there at the very last moment. So
Yeah, as the character who has been knocked out the most. For once, I was happy it wasn't me. Because I probably go down once a session, it seems like.
No, I don't think it's that often.
It sure as hell feels like
You
it.
didn't go down last session.
It was all RP.
Well, you didn't go down the session before that either.
Yeah, I did.
You went down during the fight?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You did.
Yeah, Locke almost actually killed me.
The kobold rock.
Yeah. Got hit in the eye with a rock.
And
Oh,
I
cool.
actually healed her to bring her back with, again, we had a spell in the Ring of Spell Storing from Octavian, and I was able to at least give her a little bit of something. But then I'm pretty sure she went down again immediately after. Didn't you?
Oh,
No, I only went down once.
Oh, okay.
Here's Ross.
That was close, though. Hey, Russ. He's still connecting to
He's
audio.
still connecting up.
But go on,
Hey.
Chris.
Hey,
Hey,
Russ.
hey.
Hello.
Sorry, are we on? Are we
We're
on?
on.
Oh, yeah.
We're streaming.
We're just in the first hour of our recap of the last game. We haven't gotten to the real juicy bits yet.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I was at the grocery store, and apparently, it's like, what is it about some of these grocery stores that are only putting like one checkout open? Like, come on, guys.
I use the self-checkout, so I don't know.
I know, and me too, but I just, bought like a shit ton of stuff, and I was just like, oh, man. And I ran into your cousin.
Whose cousin?
Which
Chris's cousin.
Okay, I got that. Narrows it down
That
to
does
about
not narrow it down.
What I
people.
know, you guys are Josh. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Happy puppy.
Yes, exactly. I was like, I was blanking. I ran. He was.
I haven't talked to Josh in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was there. It was nice to say hi. We chatted for a few minutes. It was nice
Cool.
to see him. So
we were recapping. We were just talking about Euchariah going down tunnels and getting hit with blasts and dropping caves on himself.
yeah, Euchariah, don't do that shit. You are the squishy wizard. Squishy wizards don't solo. Okay?
Well, yeah, but when he's the only one that can fit into that little space.
That's why he has a rat.
He was very much alive, and it was just an oversight.
Oops.
But we head back into town.
Yeah, so you guys wound up going back outside, looking around a little bit, not finding anything, and then going back to town. You then proceeded to spend some time in town. You've been doing research and a bunch of things like that. And then you found a bunch of stuff, which is what I actually have to do a lot of the work on this week, is getting you all the history stuff that you were able to find on Vecna.
Yeah, I think you kind of glossed over some of the high-level bits that we were able to find. And
well, I've got a map to give you, and I've got some history stuff. I gotta kind of go through the history and pick out some things that you would have found, and get that over to you guys. And then we ended it with everyone going to bed one night, and Euchariah had a dream. And
you left
in the
it
dream,
with a very big cliffhanger.
Yes,
in my opinion.
Yes, and then at the end of the dream, you woke up, and that's where we ended the show. So, with basically,
I don't remember the dream.
What's that?
I don't remember what the dream was.
Euchariah was in a large city, a huge city, bigger than he's ever seen. And he's running through dark alleys. It's nighttime. There's a storm approaching. He can hear the thunder. Something's pulling at his arm, and he looks down and sees it's a little girl. And he also notices that the hand isn't his. It's bigger than what his would be. And his perspective is actually higher.
Oh, yeah.
He's running through the streets, and he hears a voice behind him basically saying something like, I have you now, or something like that. And then there's a flash, and it's now raining, and he's outside the city next to the wall. And it's muddy ground, it's the rain's coming down, and he trips, falls. He's exhausted, looks down, and as he's getting up, he catches his reflection in a puddle as a lightning flash goes, and it's Madeline's face.
Gotcha.
And at the same point, which for those if you haven't been part of the show, Madeline is the woman who raised Euchariah, and he thought she was dead for many years now. Has only recently realized that she's alive. But then when he sees it, there's recognition in the eyes, and she speaks and says, "Euchariah, come to Greyhawk. I need your help."
It's like she could see into your
And then that's where the dream
and
ends.
that's what I was like wondering, like what kind. Well, the fact that it was a dream, but that she had a sense that I was seeing through her eyes, and she was talking to me. So I'm wondering, like, some kind of divination type magic in a way to be able to somehow communicate between us.
So we're going to Greyhawk.
And I was seeing something in real time, and just curious, like how far away is Greyhawk from the temple?
Well, I think,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's like several weeks of travel, and
Dude.
we. I mean, I think that was the general consensus of what we were going to do because we still got a bunch of stuff to sell and or buy, and
we were talking about going there.
And we were talking about going there anyway because like the things that we're looking at are or that we want to get are things that we can only get in a big city. So looks like we're going to Greyhawk, man.
Yeah.
Load them up. We're going. We got to go to town. Go to the big city.
But it'll be kind of interesting because it sounds like there's a bit of a sense of urgency, and that's why I was asking. If it takes a couple of weeks, we may need to figure out some sort of
Ding
alternate
dongs are
method.
the best, man.
They are the best, aren't they?
I like them frozen.
Frozen is the way to have
frozen,
them.
Yes.
Almost any hostess is better frozen.
Oh yeah, frozen Twinkies.
No.
Oh yeah.
Frozen cupcakes, frozen Suzy Q's. Oh my god!
I used to even have frozen fruit pies.
Really?
Sure.
Never cared for the fruit pies.
Put some ice cream on them or something. You're kind of like, yeah, baby. Yeah, never go grocery shopping hungry, kids.
Oh no!
God, no.
You'll end up spending $275 at Kroger. I hadn't been in a while. And I bought like laundry detergent and other things, things that big dollar items, but still, there's a lot of shit.
And those hostess are always right at the very end as you're checking out. They're right next to you, and you have to grab them.
Like they know.
You pushed that way back there, Russ. That was
But I'm really excited, Chris. I think that it's really interesting, like how you set that up. I've been trying to communicate with Modelin for quite some time. I think ever since we hit level 5, and I got that 3rd level spell slot. I took sending for a reason because until that point in time, I didn't even know she was alive, and I took that specifically to essentially start communicating, determining whether or not she was alive at all. And we were able to at least address that. I think, quite some time ago is when nearly a year I think is when we
it's probably about 6 months or so.
Oh, okay.
That you
oh yeah, it was right around the time that we launched Tavern Knights that it occurred that we hit level 5 and we started broadcasting it. Yep.
So that's where we left off. So yeah, you guys are going to have some decisions to make. There's a few ways that you could use to get to Greyhawk. Each one of them has their own pros and cons. You can go down around through Phandalin and then back up through the old Wild Coast, but most of that area is now the Pomarge. So it's not exactly friendly territory. So we'd be traveling
through pretty hostile territory.
You can go from where you're at. There is a pass nearby that goes through the Lort Mill Mountains into Selene, which is an elven kingdom. But since the Greyhawk Wars, they have been sealed off and don't want anything to do with the outside world. They've gone into full isolationism. And then there's going north around the northern end of the Lort Mills, which is probably the safest, but is also probably the longest route.
Or we could see if we could pay somebody to teleport us.
This is about to ask.
I was about to ask that too, because we obviously know that I use a teleport scroll
quick travel.
You would think that a place like Greyhawk has something in place for a teleportation circle. Be able to.
I'm sure they probably
go
do.
to go there, but I'm sure that would come at a particular cost in order to make that happen if we were to ask for it. So I think that.
Well, it depends. It depends whether Chris is going to make it available to us. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's a pretty big ask. And as far as I know, I mean, is there an archmage that, or some kind of mage, not necessarily an archmage, but is there a decent level mage in town that can cast it? That could literally cast teleport to. I would imagine there probably is, but
I'm sure there is at the library.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's something that I think that we need to discuss, because based off of what, I'm only going to be communicating what I've saw before, but I don't know. Was that happening in real time? Was it some future vision? Was it in the past? How urgent do we need to get there? The way that it seems pretty urgent. We should get there now. We don't have a month to be able to get there. So maybe we have to find some alternate method. I figure that that would be big discussion points on Friday, probably in the very beginning.
Or do we take the long way and side quest it the entire way? And
God, we won't get there for a year, you mean?
And
D&D's,
try to gain a level along the way.
I was like, D&D's like Cyberpunk 2077. You don't want to quick travel. You want to drive everywhere.
You want to drive everywhere so that you can see how great everything is.
I think
and as you're passing
quick
by,
travel twice in that entire game.
Yeah. Yeah, I only quick travel like maybe once or twice in that game too. Speaking of the 1.2 patch is due any day now. They are saying that they've kind of hinted and talked about some of the things that they'll be patching. I don't know if you heard about it. They're going to be patching the police, tweaking the police response. Like if you get a report taken about you, they don't immediately swarm you and like teleport from behind you and shit like that. I guess it's going to start with like a police drone showing up to investigate, and then from there. But and also they're tweaking the driving rules. I guess some
driving's like the hardest thing in that game.
Like some of the software for and the shit about driving, and making it a more realistic and just better way. I mean, I can't tell you how many cars I have dinged up by just driving around.
I've taken out pedestrians accidentally.
Yeah, oh yeah, me too. Totally.
The ones I hate are the pedestrians that like walk up to you as you're just sitting still and like run into you and then go, and then the police get called because you killed a pedestrian.
My guess is that's gone away now. But yeah, it's apparently those are some of the big tweaks. I mean, other than quality of life tweaks and more things to make it run more smoothly, I guess. So.
All right, but we're not talking about Cyberpunk now. We're talking
about
not.
D&D. We're talking about shall we teleport or shall we walk, which is kind of a thing in a lot of games.
Yep. Yeah, based on, let's see. Let me find my map that actually has distances on it. From where you guys are. Let's see.
Yeah, because we can go through the Primage and essentially level up along the way.
You could go 1, 2.
I mean, we're like 60% away, right, to the next level, or 60.
I think we're closer than that. I think we're closer to like 80.
7, 8.
I don't know. We took out a dragon and a bunch of other stuff, and we haven't leveled up yet. So
that is the drag about doing event leveling like that or like they do. I mean, yes, we all level at the same time and stuff like that, and it keeps the game kind of even keeled. But it's harder to kind of like I remember when playing D&D when I actually just playing Pathfinder and stuff a few years ago, and just being able to keep track of how many points that I have and really knowing, oh my God, I'm only 500 points away from the next level, and you're like, ugh, I want to the way we do it now and the way a lot of campaigns are doing it, it kind of takes that away. You're never quite sure when you're going to level.
But at the same time, I also really like the milestone.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I get it. I get it.
Well,
It
and
just.
I can tell you guys that after the end of the last module, I actually went through and figured out the experience, even after you killed the dragon, everything like that, and you were still over 6,000 XP away.
Yeah. No. I figured we were still quite a ways away because it hadn't been that long since we had leveled to 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yes, killing a dragon at our level is enough to, pretty give you quite a big bump, but it's usually not enough.
I'm pretty sure we leveled in that same dungeon with the dragon.
We did. We leveled.
Yeah.
Yeah. We leveled like like maybe 1 or 2 sessions before the dragon. So, yeah, I knew we were ways away, but.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. The adult black dragon was worth 11,500 experience points, and that would have been split 7 ways at the time.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So right now you would be doing everything split 6 ways.
Yes.
You would be saying, gotcha.
Right. Although Bennick is still on the page, it comes up on our, like.
Well, I mean, he's
it
always
shows all
welcome if he wants to be able to join up.
Hey,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm always happy to have Eddie back, man. He's great.
I would love him, yeah.
But yeah, so that's why. So yeah, you killed a black dragon, but even at 12,000, that's only 2,000 experience apiece.
Right.
At 6 with 6 of you. So, and it's, I believe, to go from 6th to 7th, it was like, I think like 8,000 experience or something like that.
Right. Yep. We still got some adventuring to do.
Let's see. It's 9,000. You go from 14,000 to 23,000.
Wowzers.
Yeah, and then 8th is 34,000.
Oh, excuse me.
So it's 11,000 to go from 7 to 8.
Yeah, so I mean, like when
7th to 8th is a big deal, I would think, because that's
6th to 7th's a big deal.
It is.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people get class abilities at 7.
Right, and 7 and 8 is big because you get either a feat or 2 more points to your
Yeah. I figured that
stats,
8 was
so
a big jump, but you're right. I'm looking forward to 7th because I would being able to start using 4th level spells.
Yeah.
That is a very big. I've been debating for weeks on which spells for 4th level I would want if I want to take 2 4th level spells. But trying to, when you have as many arcane casters as we do, there's a form where you don't want to metagame, but at the same time you don't want to duplicate too many spells. Like honestly, like it kind of bums me out that like Lauka and I are just firing off fireballs nonstop at like doing the same thing. I feel like we're just.
I don't mind.
I don't care.
I would like some variety.
Except when Lauka's falling asleep because we've gone so long, and she just looks and goes, "I'm gonna fireball right there."
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. She was also kind of drunk. She was sleepy and kind of drunk. So, love her to death. Kind of drunk.
Lightweight.
Yeah. You know what? That's the thing, though, man. I mean, if she decides if she's fire heavy because of her dragon, kind of family lineage, man, maybe go lightning or go cold or something. There's nothing saying you can't.
She's actually cold because of her dragon.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
No, take the 4th level spells or 4th level spells. There's a lot of things that are very similar between sorcerer and wizard. Have the biggest overlap, I feel. But then
they use the same. They use pretty much the same spell list.
Yeah,
they are the same spell.
Like list, the wizard, I think, is a little bit more wider, but I think that so many of them do overlap. But then also between Phelan and Octavian, like some of the big ones that you see for 4th level would be like polymorph or banishment. Well, those are pretty much universal across the board between everyone. So chances are one of us is going to have it, and I'm trying to there's actually two that are more wizard specific only that I've actually been eyeing, so that way it adds a little bit of blend of variety into the game.
I keep it simple. I just punch things.
Well, there's nothing wrong with variety. There's also nothing wrong with multiple characters having the same spell.
Yeah.
Because like polymorph, well, that's great for one person.
Yeah. Being able to do it twice.
Look at how often they use it on Critical Role. How often it comes in handy, And
oh my gosh! Speaking of Critical Role, I just finished the episode where it was in the mid-50s, and they were fighting an incubus and a succubus, and they almost had like a total party kill. And Caduceus died and had to get revivified.
Yeah.
And like Caleb was like charmed, and then Yasha was charmed, and then Ford was almost charmed. It was intense. Like I just finished that episode today. And
light them up pretty.
I was surprised.
They were still that's if you're in the mid-50s, they were still
fireball the team.
Right. Yeah, light them up pretty.
But that's the thing. In the mid-50s, they were still fairly low level. At that point, they were like, I don't know, they're probably right around our level, give or take.
That's what I'm thinking. I think they were around 7th.
Yeah. So the TPKs are much easier when they're at our level, I am almost caught up on Critical Role.
I started back up today, and I'm still about 14 episodes behind. I just got to the Halloween episode from last year. Which, by the way, their costumes are just amazing in that.
What did they do? They dressed as characters.
As side characters.
Oh, as side characters. Oh. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because Matt's the Traveler, Laura's the Gentleman.
Right.
Travis is Orly, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
Ashley was Henry Crabgrass.
Yeah, that was so goddamn funny.
I didn't see the Crabgrass episode, but I saw.
Yeah, I just got through that. That's in the hundreds.
Yeah, but I saw that because that blew up on like YouTube. A lot of people parodied it and did like animations for it and everything.
Yeah, it's been said that that's Matt's best NPC ever at best side character.
Sam was Kiri.
Yeah.
I don't remember Caduceus. He was one of the Cerberus Assembly, I think.
He was Vesteragna.
Yeah, Vesteragna. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And what's her name? Marisha was Celia. With the big censored on her hand.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Because she had the gold dick in her hand.
Yeah. Oh, that Celia that everybody hated. Yeah. Oh my God, it was so fucking funny. And honestly,
I went to TravelerCon and all I got was
was a dick glued to my hand.
No, was humiliated.
Yeah, that's right. We can't say too much shit because he hasn't seen it. But man, and the funny thing, like when Matt as the Traveler was so funny. That big red wig and the big eyebrows.
Well, what gets me is the Traveler reminds me so much of Gilmore.
Yeah,
a little bit.
There's some similarity there in the way he plays him.
But anyway, we're not talking about their show. We're talking about our show.
Well, we talk about gaming on this show as well as our show, so that's why we diverge, man. Yeah, you know what? As always, the game was fun. Thankfully, we also had we did stick to that, that midnight, out. We actually cut out at about 1:45, so that was good. And it was another one with no combat, but I again we had some great role playing.
No combat for you.
I rolled initiative for half a round where I almost died, but I was able to get away. And then
I just picture like Yukariah like
Yeah.
dodging
That's
fucking
what made him-
rocks,
yeah.
and dodging like eldritch blast, like shit, it's,
And then,
where's my
and that was
juice?
and honestly, that was fun. The fact that it's like it put me in a particular situation where I was alone and it was a risk, and I wasn't expecting that they were. I'm imagining what happened was that I think that we were fighting a warlock because Eldritch Blast. I'm pretty sure
Right.
that you made it. I'm pretty sure that he didn't have to go through that little tunnel. He just probably dimension door to the other side of it,
Or it still went through in a mist form.
or
And
that.
He did transform into a fart.
I forgot that he did do that too. Yeah.
Right.
But either way, it was easy for him to get through it, and it took a little effort for me. But it made
What
it like
kind
a
of
good,
potion lets
interesting
you do
roleplay.
that, by the way?
There's a potion of mist or whatever.
You don't know, but there is a magic item out there that your character doesn't know.
But the fact that
Can
you
Renee know?
you can look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
D&D and
because
Beyond,
it's just D&D and
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah,
God.
he just drank a potion and turned into a.
Well, what
mist.
surprised me was the fact that Chris actually had that prepared.
yeah.
He had that part of the character ready to go. You didn't come up with that in the moment.
That was in his
he had-
inventory.
Exactly.
I'm,
So-
Yeah, he had
I'm gonna
said that
give
in
you
the-
this super cool magic item that lets you like bind huge creatures. And you know what? I'm going to take that away from you.
See?
I'm gonna have 30 seconds of a super cool moment. And I'm just gonna rip it away, and then I'm going to knock you out with a fucking rock.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm so yawny tonight. Wow, it's probably because I'm hungry.
Let's say you don't sleep.
I don't sleep.
You're back to work and you're still staying up all night.
Well, not all night. But I did stay up until dawn playing Kingdom Come
Gosh.
Deliverance a couple of nights ago, so that was pretty stupid. Saturday night, I was like, this game is really hard and really engaging. Holy shit. I'm just like, is that the sun?
Oh God! It's been so long since I had a night like that. Oh.
It actually
Yeah.
has been. It's been quite a while since in fact, like last week, I barely touched my PS5 for games. It was mainly just for streaming stuff. So yeah, like Saturday, I was like, Stella's got shit she's doing. Game night.
Yeah.
And so I played the new expansion to the Avengers game because they released that and updated it to the PlayStation 5. And I gotta say, wow, like the load times are like that. It's like before you play the Avengers on the PS4, the load times are ponderous, man. I mean, it's crazy. And but for this one, nothing. It's like super
Nice.
fast. So yeah, I highly recommend it.
It's on my list. I usually wait at least a year before I get it. Wait for more games to
wise.
come out.
It's wise.
I always wait for more games to come out because in the very beginning, there's only a certain selection. It's always highly sought after. There's so many scalpers usually. So after about a year, after the second holiday, usually it tapers off. There's usually a sale.
Sure.
More games are offered. Sometimes they bundle it more.
Right.
There's another AAA title that comes out around the holiday.
Yep.
That like an Uncharted or something
Or
along.
possibly,
like that.
hopefully, a Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines too.
Never.
Motherfuckers, that game.
Yeah,
You're
I've
gonna
been seeing
wait-
stuff now that game's in serious trouble.
That
Oh yeah.
that game will come out when the next Tool album actually comes out.
Hey, Tool put an album out last year.
They did.
Did
For the
they
first-
really?
Yes.
Yeah, for the first
Oh,
time.
man.
It was the first time in
In
like
what, 20 years?
12.
Nah, it was-
I think it was. I think it was 12.
it was like it
12?
was really long
Still.
time. But yeah, last year, and it was good. It was 19. Chris, I think it was 19.
Was it 19?
Yeah, I think it was 19 because I think if I remember correctly, I was either in Florida or Scott Mullen was here in Michigan. Because I remember him reacting and him, I'm going to go buy it. And like, we couldn't find it anywhere and stuff. But yeah. So speaking of that, reminds me, Chris.
You're right. It was 2019.
Yeah. Speaking of, we can. What the fuck? My phone. Assassin's Creed Valkyrie or Valhalla. Thank you. Is doing an expansion. Apparently, they've upped the time on the expansion to April, and it's the Ireland expansion.
It's the Ireland invasion, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. I really want to get.
Gonna go found Dublin.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I don't know the history. You're the guy. I mean,
pretty much what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, Dublin was a Viking outpost.
Yeah.
Really?
I think Belfast was too.
Probably. But yeah, Ireland is the most invaded country in like all of Europe.
More than Rome, or more? I mean, more than Italy.
I think so. Yeah.
Because Italy got invaded a lot.
So did Ireland, because everyone wanted that beautiful green land.
Yes.
Well, that end was just also kind of
and
in
the
the middle
pasta.
of everything.
Oh, what?
No.
What did you say, Renee?
Oh, that it's also just kind of in the middle of a lot of different routes.
Yeah.
It is. And they
like
had
as a military outpost, so it's smart to have.
Yes, and they had lovely roads. And
No, we're talking about Ireland.
Oh, in Ireland.
Yeah.
You know.
Forget about Italy.
I thought you were talking about Italy.
Yeah, screw Italy.
All right.
They didn't even invent the noodle. They just put tomato sauce on it.
It's true. They stole it. They stole noodles from Asia, from China.
Yeah, and tomatoes from the New World. So even that's not as old as many people think.
Really?
Tomatoes are from the Western Hemisphere. Are you going to Google that?
No, the paradigm of my reality just shifted. It was like, what the?
All right, so actually, supposedly the most, because I had to look it up, the country that has been invaded the most is Moldova.
Where the fuck is Moldova?
It is a nation state between Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus.
I thought it was central.
Yeah.
You know, the interesting thing is this game, Kingdom Come Deliverance, takes place in that area, like Central Europe, basically, Moldova and Hungary and all that kind of Czech and all that kind of area right there. Good King Wenceslas and all that fun stuff. It's actually a really fucking cool game, particularly if you're really well in, you're really into history, and
it's up Richard's alley.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's a historical RPG with it's just doesn't have any magic, it doesn't have like magic or elves and dwarves and shit like that. You're fighting Turkish mercenaries and bandits and horse thieves and whatever, and it's pretty fucking cool, man. It's big.
So
it's also like there's a lot to it. Yes.
So one of the other things that we got into, and it started as a discussion in one of our breaks last week, or during our show, and it kind of spilled over, was the ethical connotations of necromantic magic.
Right. Correct. It's an interesting debate because that is a bare bones, like basic debate that people that have been playing D&D have been debating and talking about for years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is the ethical, understanding and whatnot of using necromantic magic? Now, personally, I feel that it is magic, just like any other form of magic, and it can be used for good or for ill. Flame Strike is divine magic and fire magic, I believe. And it's it's evocation but it also does divine damage too, doesn't it?
Let me look.
Or whatever it is.
Flame Strike is an evocation magic.
It is evocation, but the damage it does is both
It's fire and radiant.
and radiant. That's what I meant. Radiant damage. So it's definitely it's essentially doing positive energy damage.
Yep.
And fire. Harm, the spell harm and the spell heal are both, used by, they're both clerical magic and stuff like that. So I mean,
but see, cure wounds, inflict wounds is necromantic, necromancy. Cure wounds is evocation.
See, they changed that because back in the old days,
yes,
oh really?
It was all necromantic, healing power, all healing spells were necromantic. It didn't fucking matter.
Oh, interesting. Because I always thought it was kind of interesting the fact that healing was evocation, when usually that is heavily attack.
No, yeah, me too. That's why that confused me. But yeah, originally, I mean, all harm was the opposite of heal. It was just reversing that energy, and it was like you could use it for good or for ill. Now, like say you use necromantic power to raise a bunch of skeletons to do chores around your house.
Sounds brilliant.
Is that evil?
That's the animate dead spell.
Right. It's animate dead. And we
met a necromancer that did that.
And
right.
Exactly. He was a
very pleasant gentleman.
He was using zombies to help build, like
excavate
Octavian
or build. Judge him.
Oh yeah, Octavian does not like anything to do with necromancy.
Well, neither does Marikaris either. So
no, that makes sense.
I mean, Marikaris is not a fan of the undead.
You guys have used one necromantic spell that I know of.
We did?
Yeah.
Speak with dead. Speak to dead.
Mm-hmm.
Speak with dead. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That is a necromantic spell.
Specifically, Octavian was the one who did that.
And he thought of it all, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
there's a difference between speak with dead and cause
raising dead.
Well, and that's the thing. So here's some of the spells that you have under necromancy. Chill touch, sapping sting, cause fear, inflict wounds, ray of sickness, blindness, deafness is actually a necromancy spell.
Yeah.
I do that.
Ray of enfeeblement. But then you also have things like spare the dying, gentle repose. Resurrection is actually a necromantic spell.
Yep. So is raise dead. So is
feign death.
Feign death.
Life transference.
So even revivify, right?
Revivify is a necromantic spell.
Which is something that I think that Rich's character Octavian he has the spell component to be able to use that. Doesn't he have a diamond?
Mm-hmm.
And he has the ability, and he has that prepared, I think, just in case if we need it. And even though it's against his character to use it.
Actually, that one spell I was telling you about, where you could have caught that guy, Pete, the 8th level spell Magic Jar, that's a necromancy spell.
Magic Jar.
Really?
The 6th level spell.
So it sounds like D&D, at least what D&D now with 5th ed. Anything necromancy is specifically magic that has to deal with the body. Healing or damage, whereas like evocation is going to be more like elements at people.
Almost.
But anything that's specifically like having to deal with a body, whether it's healing it, raising it, hurting it, and killing it, they're all under the umbrella of necromancy.
Well, originally, but now healing. Now they're not. Now healing is a
evocation.
An evocation.
Okay.
And see, I don't.
So it's the opposite of an attack, which evocation is traditionally attack spells.
They're
for the most part.
Explosive type.
Yeah, it's magic missile, it's fireball, it's lightning bolt, it's frost ray.
Yeah, but sometimes there's like surprising ones about that too. Let me see here.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the evocation is the study of magic that creates powerful elemental effects such as bitter cold, searing flame, rolling thunder, crackling lightning, and burning acid. And healing. Now.
I'd be interested to talk to like one of the higher ups to find out why all of a sudden healing is an evocation.
Let's get Chris Perkins on the show.
But like sending, for example, is an evocation for some reason, which I'm surprised on.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have put that in there.
Every time I send the message, the 25 words to whoever we're going to, no matter what the distance, that's technically evocation, which is kind of odd to me, the fact that it would be categorized in that fashion.
Yeah, I would have thought that would be more like divination or something along those lines.
Telepathy. Tiny hut is another evocation, for example. I would think that would be like a conjuration almost.
Yeah, I would have guessed that as conjuration.
So
yeah,
it's bar down one of the nerdiest discussions I've ever been involved in. This is fascinating.
We can totally get nerdier. We can totally get nerdier.
Wait, Renee. This is Tavern Talk on behalf of Tavern Knights, a D&D show that was a spin-off of Nerds with Alcohol.
Yeah. And my drink is broken.
So, no, I love it. Yeah. So,
but it's a deep dive in categorizing spells and the inconsistencies of them.
Yeah.
I love it.
I agree.
Me personally, though, like for Eucharia, I so far up to this point, I have purposely stayed away from necromancy spells altogether. Whenever I like pick one up or decide when we hit another level, I don't even look at them. I think that just as like my character and my background with how I was raised, I would have stayed away from that. Not to say that one day maybe something comes along that opens my eyes to be able to branch out towards that. It hasn't happened. I would wait for an event that would present itself to say that this is like exactly like how you were saying, like Chris, and Russ, that some of it is good and can be used for good, and some of it is ill. Like I think like my character at this point thinks that all of it would be more like used for ill, and doesn't really understand that. So I've actually purposely avoided using any, like trying to learn anything from the necromancy. Even though I'm a conjuration wizard, I don't even look at any of those ones for just my character development at this point. Not saying that it can't change in the future, but I thought that would be like a good development if it does happen one day. It would be well into like his journey overall.
My old clerical character Korak from Sean Nicolin's game very rarely, if ever, used necromantic or like evil quote unquote spells. Like if it was a particularly nasty, and this is a character who was a gnoll, for crying out loud. If it was a spell that was like particularly corruptive, he didn't use it.
Well, we just came across a spell scroll of that just in our last game, right?
Yeah.
Inflict wounds.
Inflict wounds. I very rarely ever.
A high level one, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I very rarely, if ever, used. I think maybe I might have once or twice used a like inflict wounds kind of spell. I mean, I used other kinds of spells that did damage and whatnot, but anything that was like necromantic or like anything that would like suck the life out of something was not my jam. Instead,
and that's how I've been approaching it as well. Exactly.
And that's the way a lot of people look at it. I mean, if one of you drops and you miss your third death save, I guarantee you that as long as it wasn't Octavian, he'll be using a necromancy spell to bring you back. He will be casting Revivify in a second.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think that will come at a particular personal mental toll on him. Using that type of magic, even though it's for good, you're essentially bringing someone back from the dead, which is kind of what he stands against at the same time. So there's a personal conundrum that he's going to have to deal with the natural order of things and saving his friends. And even though we probably know the direction he's going to go, I think that his character is going to have to deal with that, like from a religious standpoint, from his order that he follows and what he has to do in order to save somebody when that time comes. I think that'll be kind of interesting if and when that comes up.
It's going to be me. It's going to have to use it on me.
Or me, because I did something stupid.
Forgot about his rat. Because that was actually the best thing. Was afterwards, it was, what was it, Ian? That was just
Ian.
I think so.
Yeah, it was Ian.
Why didn't you send
You
that
have a rat.
Yeah, that was so funny.
I think
that was really fucking funny. I was like, yeah, fuck, you got a rat. That's right.
But it was kind of
forgot about.
But it was kind of humorous because Chris didn't have that prepared at all. You said, right? You didn't expect us to go after the drow or me to do it. So you were kind of coming up with it in real time.
Hate it when they get away.
Yeah.
Y'all were mad, man. I saw you and Euchariah, and I mean, you were all like ready to go after that motherfucker. I'm like, he's gone, dude.
They're tired of people running away.
I hate it when they get away.
That was the third
one. The third wizard or warlock or magic caster that got away.
They are all gonna come back at once. They're forming a Justice League of the Tavern Knaves. They're the Tavern Knaves, and they're going to come back all at once and attack us.
One of them
There's
stayed.
a Legion of Doom. They've got a compound in the swamp that just rises up out of the swamp.
Rises up out of the ground, yeah. Out of the swamp. Yeah. Like I said, they're the Tavern Knaves, and they're going to come after us at some point.
So there's going to be some
united by Lex Luthor, and
united against us. Exactly. So there's been some updates, I think, in D&D world. I think that there was the Candlekeep Mysteries as well as
Mysteries came
out
last Tuesday.
And sorry in advance.
And some new Unearthed Arcana with like some new races, actually, right? Like owl folk and rabbit folk.
Oh yeah, I saw something about that.
See, Unearthed Arcana isn't actually.
I know, but I was just like,
well, it's not canon yet.
Yeah,
I understand that, but I think it's kind of interesting though, like adding in the new races because, like, you didn't you play like a Minotaur cleric?
I'm a Minotaur in another campaign. Yeah, it's a Kryn campaign that's actually on the Minotaur continent.
I'm all about animal races, man. Animal-human race hybrid races.
I just wanted to at least bring it up because it's something new since the last time we had Tavern Talk that I think that's happened over the last 2 weeks. I was wondering if we wanted to talk about that.
I'm not crazy about having too many choices for race. I think it starts to water everything down.
There are so many choices.
Yeah, well, that's why
so many.
So if you notice in my campaigns, I don't have things like Tabaxi. That's not a race that exists in Greyhawk.
What? No fuzzy cat people?
No.
Oh.
I have introduced Goliaths, and I have introduced Tieflings and Dragonborn and all those, but I do not use Tabaxi.
It's human, elf, or dwarf, or nothing.
I haven't
motherfuckers.
Decided on turtles. I don't have turtles right now either.
What are they?
So what's preventing you from?
No, what the gentleman is.
Oh, the Genasi?
Genasi, that's it.
Genasi do exist, but they are really, really rare, and they're not actually playable as a playable race.
Okay.
At least not yet in my campaign.
So what's your hesitation about it? Just because there's just too many that you think, or like there's certain class or
no?
racial
I don't know enough about them, honestly. I actually haven't done enough research on the Genasi to see.
I just mean in general with all the ones and like a lot of the new ones that were just introduced. Because like I said, I think this is all within like the last 2 weeks that Candlekeep came out, as well as a lot of that Unearthed Arcana with the new races. The Genasi
have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think for the races, like, they added in like fairies and reborns, rabbit folk, owl folk. I think they added in quite a few new ones to do that. I was just curious the fact that this is something that is new, that is being introduced.
In the mythical Odyssey of Theros, or what, the hardcover that came out before Tasha's, I just picked it up. I saw one at my comic shop, and I was like, you know what?
That's the Magic the Gathering one, isn't it?
No? It's the Greek Greek myths expansion, and it was, like I said, I was at the comic shop. My stimulus came in. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to get me a D&D book, and so I spent extra money on it, and because I could have had Stella order it for me on her discount, but you got to help out the comic shop. And so I picked it up, and it's got rules for playing centaurs. It's got, which has actually already been in the thing. Oh, no, it wasn't centaurs. It was, I think, satyrs or fawns. So playing those characters. And playing there was one other race, a Leonid. So lion people but they give them, they're different from the Tabaxi. So they're like slightly different character creation rules for them.
I was right. That is actually the Magic the Gathering world.
It is the Magic the Gathering? It's very Greek, dude.
Well, but I just looked it up. The product overview is the world's most popular role-playing game meets the world's most popular trading card game in this campaign sourcebook, detailing the Magic the Gathering world of Theros for use in Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, well, I sit corrected then. But like I said, the entire theme of the book is basically Greek myths and like adapting like a Greek myth setting or Greek myth things into your setting.
Yeah, it's got like the Hydra.
You're me, Seeks. It gets me every time. So, Renee, why were you apologizing about the
Look at me!
Oh, because in the last Nerds with Alcohol episode, DM kind of dropped the thing of, yeah, you have a monk that keeps stealing books. And I was literally I was down here in the basement. I'm like, oops.
Because each of the 17 adventures that are in Candlekeep Mysteries are based on a book that's in the library.
Yeah. So I have a feeling at least one of them's going to pop up.
Huh.
Oops. It's not because I want the books. It's just a principle of stealing them to see if I can.
Because Klimbrum is a klepto.
Yeah.
And has problems. It's like, Chris,
it's a challenge.
We have a dwarf that is not a dwarf. We have a dwarf that is a kender.
I was just going to say, she's half kender and you didn't know it.
Half kender. Just traveled across the dimensional pathways.
Kender are
through the phlogiston.
They are a halfling-like race. They're not really halflings. But they're a lot like them. From Kryn, from the Dragonlance
books.
And they don't have this concept of ownership, really.
Right.
Oh.
And they just find things. They happily give them back if you ask them for them. But they see things laying out like, oh, this statue of the Joker that's here on my desk, well, that's not safe there, so they'll put it in their pouch.
I was just holding it for you. Yeah.
And then when you say, hey, do you have my Joker statue? Oh, yeah, here, I was just keeping it safe for you. And they give it back.
What's yours is yours, and what's yours is mine. That's their kind of idea. It's like they don't really have any real concept of belongings, of ownership.
Yeah, Klimbrum she likes a challenge you're not supposed to be able to take anything out of the library. And it's just a challenge to see if she can.
Yeah. in the Kryn campaign that I'm playing in, we have a Kender in the group, and he has various pouches full of stuff, and the DM actually, between almost every session, I don't know how many sessions he does it, but every once in a while he goes in and just changes what's on the list of what's in his pouches.
Oh, gosh.
And the guy looks at it and he's like, what's in my pouch now? He's like, I looked through my pouch and he's like, ooh, that's new. I don't remember that. Because he's got a list of like 30 things and it just randomly changes on him. Certain things disappear out of the pouch and certain things go in.
Oh, interesting.
That's awesome, actually.
Okay, Russ is bored.
He's riding the escalator. Sorry.
He's clearly slap happy.
A little bit. And sober.
That's a shame.
But yeah, so I do
too.
plan on using some of the Candlekeep mysteries. I've been reading through some of them. I already know one that I plan on using.
So you actually did get it?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I haven't looked at it at all.
Yeah, that one
I to bring it up.
I heard good things about it. Basically, one review I read said every DM should have this on his shelf. So I figured I would check it out. Are they all like
one shots essentially?
They're not really necessarily one shots. They could go over multiple sessions, but they're short adventures.
Okay.
They could probably be done as one shots if you really stuck to it and went right at it.
Not as long as what we did in Stone Tooth.
No, they are not full modules. These are just shorter adventers.
Okay.
Some of them are mysteries. Some of them are actual like treasure map type things. There's all sorts of different ones, and they range from 1st through I think 17th level.
Oh wow, that's for nice. Good variety, so that way it can go throughout the entire campaign. You can throw one in there.
Yep.
All right.
And it's kind of cool because they actually in the beginning they actually give you ideas because Candlekeep is actually from Forgotten Realms. It actually is a keep.
Yeah.
That's a giant tower library.
Yeah, I think it's where you start in Baldur's Gate.
I think it is.
In the video game Baldur's Gate, you start there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a giant library. You have to like petition to get acceptance. You have to like give a gift of like a book or a magic item or something like that to get it, to be able to access it. And it's just this giant city that's maintained by this group of scholars, and no book is allowed to be taken out. In all honesty, I modeled Temple of the Open Mind somewhat after Candlekeep.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because I wanted something like that in Greyhawk.
Books aren't allowed to leave.
And one of the things that they talk about is that the I lost my train of thought now. Because all I see is books aren't allowed to leave.
Well, I was surprised that you allowed us in the game to actually enter the restrictions section because the time before that, I was coming up with like, I really thought that you were as the DM were going to try and prevent that very thing, and I was trying to like plan ahead that all right, how can I sneak in? Like Phelan, I might, we might need you to cast invisibility. I might try and use disguise self. I'll try and teleport myself across there. Octavian, can you dispel magic if there's like something, that's protecting it? Someone
you wanted to do a heist on the restriction.
I was honestly like thinking that we might have to do that because there was a restricted section. I didn't expect that he was going to just allow us to be able to do the research with someone monitoring us. I thought we would actually have to potentially sneak in to be able to get that information because the time before that, I actually sent a message through the sending to who's Dragonborn, to Raslim, and he actually said, if there's any information, it would be in at the Temple of the Open Mind. So I thought that, all right, well, chances are that's very well protected. I'm thinking Harry Potter restricted section library, how they had to sneak in, and I thought that we may have had to come up with something. So I was trying to come up with a potential plan that we might have to do.
He's gonna pull a Doctor Strange.
Like, honestly, I was suspecting the same thing, that we might need to break in, and I was also preparing for that.
Yeah.
And
I was hoping to like utilize your shadow thing too, where you can disappear into shadows, and that you and I can get in there
Except
together.
there are no shadows in that library.
Where I thought that we can figure out a way to like manipulate it just the right way, and like Phelan can get on top and like create a scene in the middle of the library with a performance. I was like thinking of like all different scenarios.
That would have been hilarious.
Of it. And then Chris is like, "Yeah, you get access to it." Like, oh, okay.
It's because you came in with a legitimate threat.
Yeah. Throwing the name Vecna kind of does that. He must not be named, right?
Vecna is scary. He is one of the big bads of D&D.
But I was expecting kind of like Harry Potter style.
Yeah, say if you read a lot of stuff about Vecna, a lot of things say he is like the ultimate big bad evil guy. Yeah. He is the
short of like Tiamat and stuff like that.
He's on a level with Tiamat.
Yeah.
Oh.
And in places he's even stronger because, I mean,
what's interesting, because I think back in the old days he was, Vecna was he was just a lich. He was just a famous lich, and he's been like kind of elevated to these really high kind of things over the years.
He was a lich that became a demigod, who became a greater god, who became a lesser god.
Well, all right.
And right now
he's an achievement whore.
Yeah, he is actually a lesser deity right now.
Oh, bro, not my Chivos. Yeah.
But yes, Vecna is a deity. He is a lesser deity, but he is a deity.
He was originally human though, that reached godhood though.
Yep.
Right? Wow.
Yeah.
You don't know that necessarily, but yeah.
They've done that
story. But yeah, legend has it. Some of the stuff that you guys did learn is he was a human that became a lich that became a god. There are 2 artifacts in the world, and it is the eye and hand of Vecna. They haven't been seen for about 20 years now.
Unless you watch Critical Role.
Well, but they were last seen when Vecna tried to return. And if they're combined, they can be deadly because they're stronger together. But the thing is, for someone to use them, they're the left hand and left eye of Vecna, and for someone to use them, they actually have to put out their left eye and replace it with the eye of Vecna, and cut off their left hand and replace it with the hand of Vecna.
What happened at the end of the first campaign of Critical Role, right?
I don't know. I haven't gotten.
I don't know. No idea.
Really?
I'm watching it right now. I'm on episode 18 of campaign 1.
All right. I'm just gonna say 2 words.
So
Renee hasn't even made it to the Briarwoods yet.
Joe Manganiello.
Nice. That is a pretty man to look at. So.
Well, he is on the last with his character Archon the Cruel is on in the last big adventure of Vox Machina. It's pretty awesome, actually.
Sweet.
The end of their campaign, their end of their thing. I am so looking forward to Vox Machina, the animated series, man.
Me too.
I'm chomping at the bit for that. Didn't
it get picked up by a network?
Amazon picked it up for a second season. Yes.
Prime picked it up and then immediately gave him a second season.
Yep. And
Any word they're gonna make it if they're gonna make the Mighty Nine.
My bet is the first 2 seasons will probably still be Vox Machina.
Yeah, they're all going to be Vox Machina.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the first season's going to be the Briarwood Chronicle or the Briarwood story, and then the second season, I'm not sure what they're going to do.
Probably the Chroma Conclave. But it's there's so much preparation that goes into an animated series to start with. I would imagine they're going to utilize the resources of the Vox Machina storyline for at least 2 seasons. If it does well enough, then Amazon maybe will give it a 3rd season, and
guaranteed it'll do well enough.
From there, most animated series don't go too much further than a 3rd season unless you're an adult-themed animation series, which this one is. I mean, not
adult
pornographic, but not adult.
We're not talking hentai,
right? It's still, but it's still like a mature kind of viewers kind of thing.
We're talking like Rick and Morty.
What's that?
We're talking like Rick and Morty.
Yeah, Rick and Morty, and stuff like
Archer.
that. Archer. Right. The Venture Brothers, those kind of things. So, I mean, the fan base is there. I fucking see it, lasting for multiple seasons. It's just a matter of when are we going to see it, because they still haven't updated as to before the pandemic. We would have already, if the pandemic hadn't happened, we would have already seen probably season 1 by now. I mean, if I remember correctly, they were saying, they were originally projecting fall of 2020 for the first season.
Yeah, I know they got set back on a lot of their stuff. A lot of their rewards and stuff like that got pushed back because of the pandemic.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. They couldn't meet. They couldn't do shows. They couldn't. I mean, everything was just kind of put on the back burner for the longest time.
So much goes on before you even start animation.
Oh yeah.
There's a huge amount of work that goes on before that a lot of people don't really understand, the full animation process from beginning to end. That you have all the storyboarding and concept art and
Regal does a really nice video explaining all of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was in one of the updates.
Yeah. Okay. Now the nice thing is,
I was going based off of experience because I used to be really big into animation before I became an engineer.
Nice thing is
another life that I was hoping to get into.
Right. So the nice thing is a lot of the work that has been done can be done from home, so they're still working on that stuff. And I mean, from what I understand, I think they might even be in. They've finished the recording sessions. They might have finished the recording sessions. If anything, they are still moving forward and they're working hard on it. So, I mean, they got $11 million plus. Amazon gave them even more money, so they'd be stupid. They'd be stupid not to keep going because
as soon as it
launches,
that
money back.
As soon as it launches, I'm sure that everyone that is that is a critter that will that will have Amazon Prime will be watching it. And
the thing is, the first season, they're figuring out. One of the things they're still trying to figure out is how they can get it so that all of the backers get to see it, whether or not they have a Prime subscription.
Correct.
Because all the backers, that's part of what they get.
Yeah.
Is they actually get to see the finished product. So
send me a DVD.
The very first season is going to be, it has to be free for anyone that has that was a backer, and that is hundreds of thousands.
A lot of people.
But guys, I think it was only 53,000 people.
Was it 53,000?
Yeah. It was something like 53 or 55,000 people, right around that number, that actually paid for the show.
Huh. I didn't realize it was
It probably says on the Kickstarter page.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at the Critical Role Kickstarter right now. So, let's see.
I mean, that was the thing that was so impressive. They raised
88,887. Okay. One more person and it would have been all eights.
Yeah.
Damn it!
I didn't do it. I'm sorry.
And see, that's the thing, Chris. I think that when they actually finished it and finished the drive, it was still only like 55,000. I would be surprised if that extra 30,000 was maybe after they'd actually kind of, if you could still donate or whatever, that they actually kind of went, please stop. So I don't know. All I know is it's an immense amount of money for that amount of
pledged $11,385,449.
Incredible.
So when do we do our Kickstarter?
We need more than 5 viewers.
Yeah.
2 of which are usually playing in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually have it playing in the background during work sometimes. I try and get it doing it as well.
Yep.
But, now the thing is that just so you guys know, I mean we've only had 7 people view the show from the last show on YouTube as of today.
When you actually did the entire show rather than splitting it up.
Yes, but that's about how many we got for all of the shows combined before. So it's really not that different. And then let's see. I know this is going to show us live right now, but let's see. Let me go back to. I don't know if it'll let me see our actual videos when we're not actually playing. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, it won't let me go back that far. Here we go. Videos. The last one. We have 50 views on Twitch for the last show.
50?
Yep.
Wow. All right.
Which is about...
That's the thing that's frustrating is we can't... It's like we don't have an exact number as to how many people or how many... how good we're doing. Because... people watch it afterwards. People don't watch it necessarily while we're doing. And then same thing with Nerds with Alcohol. We never know exactly, or it's a little bit better, but we don't get a ton of people watch it while we're doing it. But there's still a lot of people downloading the audio version. There's still a lot of people watching it on YouTube, that kind of thing.
And that's the thing. So with like Nerds with Alcohol, we tend to get more people watching it live than we do Tavern Knights watching it live. But Tavern Knights actually gets more viewers overall than Nerds with Alcohol does.
Exactly.
Personally, I'm just, I don't look at it in terms of the fact that we're doing a podcast or getting views or on YouTube. I just have so much fun actually being part of actually being introduced to it. Like the first time that you guys were starting to talk about it, like on Nerds with Alcohol in the very early days when you first started the show, you had a lot of discussion regarding D&D. You even had, multiple guests on talking about D&D and focused on it. And I had no connection to it. It was something that I was interested in. And it wasn't until you guys started talking a little bit about Critical Role and some of the background behind that, and that it was a podcast. And I was already listening to Magic Tavern because of you guys, that. And what was nice about Magic Tavern, it was short, usually it's about 20 to 40 minutes per episode in that.
Yeah.
And I blew through that immediately. But then you started talking about Critical Role. I never really knew what D&D was all about before that. You guys talked about it, but I didn't really understand what was the drive behind it. And then I started listening to Critical Role and immediately just getting enveloped in that entire world. I started with season 2 rather than season 1. And then Chris, that's when you guys started talking about your podcast and what you want to do. And I was all for wanting to be a part of that, because then I got a little bit of the, I was about 10 episodes into Critical Role and I had a bit of better understanding. I was doing more research. I was reading up on it and looking at D&D Beyond. And then you were
D&D for Dummies. It's a real fucking book, man. It's
and it all of a sudden there's just this drive to want to be a part of it. It was I was surprised that it was never really introduced to me in the past ever before. I was surprised.
Yeah,
I totally would have been into.
I was surprised too.
Sure.
I was surprised too because you're a big nerd, man.
Yeah,
I totally am.
D&D was just a realm of nerd that we never got into.
We never got exposed to. No one ever ever did it.
I'm actually really impressed with all of you, the newbies, in the way that you've actually taken on the roles of your characters, and the way that you role play, and the way that you play your characters out. Because I think all three of you, the two of you and Rich, all do just an absolutely fantastic job of bringing your characters to life when you're playing.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
At the very beginning, I know that I was more speaking in like the third person a lot of times at the very beginning, saying, "Okay, Euchariah does this."
That's how you start, man. Yep. That's how most people start.
And I felt like there was a disconnect to my character. But somewhere along the way, I don't even know when, it just kind of naturally morphed into the fact that saying he does this, saying I do this, and being just going around there, it becomes more natural, more fluid, and you get more in character, as you were saying. And with that, it's more fun. And the things that you do, like the heights and the low points of when you make a mistake, like when I fireball Bennick, or go into a cave by myself, it makes it more real. And I actually had a lot of fun with it. The fact that
I run off.
You're running off and you're doing your own thing. And
I run off and mistakes are made.
True, they are. Glorious ones.
It's so much fun, and I wish that I got into it a long time ago, and I totally would have. I just never knew about it until then. Until recently.
I was listening to a podcast today, and I listened to a porn star explaining to an interviewer what D&D is, and it was glorious. It was glorious. This porn star was like, apparently, it's a hobby she has. She plays D&D every Sunday night or Sunday, and she's been playing for a long time. Apparently plays the very well-known dungeon master that wins a lot of awards and whatever else and all these things. And she's like, yeah. And then so she's trying to explain to this interviewer exactly what Dungeons and Dragons was, and I was like, she's not doing a very good job of it, but it's essentially, that's what she described. So it's kind of funny. All walks of life, man. All kinds of people play D&D. It's not that far out of the realm that you never delved into it, but it's still, it does surprise me a little bit, because knowing you now and knowing that you're, a big old geek like the rest of us.
Oh, yeah.
It's
just something that we never came across. It was actually kind of funny when we told our parents about this, and my mom's like, "Yeah, I played D&D back when it first came out, for a little bit with a few people," and we're like, "You never mentioned that to us ever."
So one of the things, I think one of the reasons why we never really got into it was because we didn't have any other kids in our neighborhood. It was just us.
We had a very select few. And they weren't really big nerds that we played with. The three of us, Rich, Renee, and I were nerds, but we kind of always clung together rather than had close friends outside of us. And
it explains so much.
That's why the three of us are so close now. We're all in our 30s, and the three of us are still doing this.
Some of my earliest memories are me watching you and Rich play Final Fantasy on the computer.
Gosh, on an emulator,
and you reading it out loud because I couldn't read yet.
Wow. Yeah.
You were reading all the dialogue for me.
And the three of us, and it goes back that far, but we just didn't know.
Which Final Fantasy?
6 or 3 on SNES.
American 3, Japanese 6.
Yes.
Oh, right before the big changeover with 7.
We also had 7 and 8 on the computer. We didn't actually have a PlayStation. We actually had 7 and 8 on the PC.
And 9. on the PC.
No, the PC was on PlayStation.
Nine was on PlayStation.
We got PlayStation 2 by that point, and then we were able.
Okay.
It was backwards compatible by that point.
Okay, but yeah, I know I have played 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 2, 12.
Wow. You haven't chosen to try.
And then 7 again.
Yeah.
And 7 again.
You haven't chose to like go and do like 13 or 13.2. I mean, 13 or 13.2. Or
I just haven't gotten to it. We have them. I just haven't played them yet.
I like the 13 series. I know it gets a lot of hate, but I always enjoyed it.
Yeah, just nothing against it. Just haven't gotten to it yet.
The only one I haven't played was 14. Because I played 14 when it first came out, and it was a big, gigantic clusterfuck.
Well, it's an online game.
Yeah, well,
with we played Yelzub.
Rich and I played the hell out of 11 back in college. This was pre-World of Warcraft.
Right.
And then when World of Warcraft came out, everyone left and went to World of Warcraft.
Everybody left everything to play World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
All the other
MMOs. A bunch of people left EverQuest to go play that.
Yeah.
City Heroes at that point had over 1 million subscribers. It went down to 250,000.
Yeah,
overnight.
we stopped playing 11 because everyone that we knew went to World of Warcraft instead, and we kind of downright refused to play World of Warcraft. 14 came out to try and combat with World of Warcraft, but the original launch of it was just awful, and they had to completely build it from the ground up. But by that point, we weren't into it. 15 was great. My favorite though would be 10 and 10 too. I love that.
10 was pretty great.
That was my personal favorite. I did like the 13th series. It gets a lot of hate for like originally the linearity of it, but I still enjoyed it.
12 was really good too.
12 has great side characters. One of the weakest main characters, though.
Horrible main character.
Vaughn.
I'll buy that.
God, he is horrible. But the awesomeness of Belfair and Fran.
Yes,
Fran. Make up for it.
It should have been all about them.
Yeah.
Sexy rabbit lady.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking about rabbit folk.
It's true, Chris. Man, she had like sexy girl with rabbit ears. It was that.
But yeah, she was a actual like Playboy bunny.
Yeah.
Like she was an actual like bunny person. Yeah. Who kicks ass too.
Kicks ass.
She
and
totally
just wears very little.
And Balthair was had the English accent and was all debonair and
just super awesome and has some of the best lines.
Yeah.
One swordsman that had like a crippled arm. What was his name? He had he had a big sword, and he just.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of it.
Red coat, whatever. Great series though. Great series.
Yeah.
But to Renee's point, we started playing it when like it was on SNES, on emulators. So that was our nerdum was video games primarily. We just didn't have any knowledge that D&D actually existed. I think the first time I ever heard about D&D, honestly, as horrible as it is, was the movie when I was working at the movie theater. So when I worked at the movie theater at AMC from like 2000 to 2007, and that first movie that came out, I think around 2000, 2001, was my like actual like true first time hearing about Dungeons and Dragons. And
honestly, same.
And I saw it, and it's like,
makes me sad.
This is a pretty good movie. Like I thought, like I didn't have any context to base it off of, but I enjoyed the movie for what it was. But
that movie was bad, whether it was D&D or not. Man, that was just
my friends and I just sat there and just like tore that movie apart while we were watching.
Well, that's just it. Like that's how I was introduced to the fact that so many people hated on it because it was labeled Dungeons and Dragons, and it wasn't. I personally thought that it was okay with the one time that I saw it. I only saw it because I think back in that day we got to see movies early. So when the movie came out on Fridays, this is before like it was all digital. It was all like still on the old style film.
The reel-to-reels, the reels.
So you had so the films come in on like 2 or 3 reels, and you actually have to splice them together. Renee knows all about this. She worked in the booth. But before it went digital, you had to splice them all together, and then you had to actually rewind it, put it on put on the projector, and actually play it through. And someone had to watch it to make sure that it was done properly. That you didn't accidentally flip it or have it backwards. Could have been many different ways to actually splice it in correctly. You had to make sure that it was beginning to end good. So we always ran it Thursday evenings, and I always took Thursday evenings off. And a lot of people just watched nothing but free movies. We got to see them a day in advance. So like when the new Star Wars movies came out, episode 2 and 3. We got to see it in advance when people were camping outside, and
that's why so many people.
Lord of the Rings.
That's why so many people stayed working in movie theaters for as long as they can, even though the pay always sucks.
Yeah, but you got to see the movies before everyone else, and that was wonderful. Thursday nights at the theater were glorious. You would like binge watch like 3, sometimes 4 movies from like 7 o'clock to 2 a.m. and it was wonderful. I loved it every single time. And that was one of them. It was the D&D movie because like, why not? I'm gonna watch it, and I had fun with it. It wasn't the worst movie. I've seen plenty of worse movies than that. Trust me. But
my God, Napoleon Dynamite.
Please, Napoleon Dynamite isn't near as bad as Dungeons and Dragons, man.
Really? I haven't seen it, so.
But
terrible.
All right.
But you got the.
You like every movie, Russ.
No, that's not entirely true. There's some shit movies out there, man. I'll admit I'm an easy audience for a lot of stuff, but
no, he's not even. He's an easy audience for superhero movies. And hey, Russ, what do you think of that last Fantastic Four movie?
Fuck you, man. Fuck them and fuck you.
Do I have to watch that movie to say I'm an actual superhero fan?
No. No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm glad to get an honest when you guys were talking about it, it really piqued my interest. That's really the reason why I got into D&D was you guys talking about it on your podcast. And it was always very intriguing, even though I didn't understand it in the beginning. I got a lot better understanding when I started listening to your show, watching or listening to Critical Role, doing the research online. And then when you guys talked about wanting to start up a game, I was all up for it and super excited to be a part of it. So again, I appreciate you, you taking us in, and I thought, I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
It's part of the nerd agenda to bring you in and join us. Join the nerd side. We have cookies.
We actually have cookies. We don't lie about the cookies.
We have Mountain Dew and Cheetos.
Yeah. Funyuns.
Where's the Mountain Dew?
Mountain Dew. Well, Jolt Cola was the big one back in the 80s.
Jolt, oh my gosh.
Jolt Cola,
Surge,
Mountain Dew, and Funyuns.
Surge was the 90s.
Yeah. I remember Surge and Tang. Tang orange drink.
Tang. Jesus Christ.
Surge was in the 90s. That was like the new Jolt.
Yeah.
It wasn't
then they
great.
brought Jolt back as an energy drink.
They did. They did.
I always loved Jolt's. Jolt's motto was
all the sugar,
twice the caffeine.
Twice the caffeine. Yeah.
Oh God.
I had friends that lived on that shit, man. They would drink it at school.
So bad for you.
We had an all-nighter where one of the guys showed up with a case of Jolt.
Oh my God. You're lucky to be alive.
That's not healthy.
You're lucky you didn't have a heart attack at 16, man.
Going back
and
to
we wonder why the U.S. has a diabetic problem now.
Yeah, fucking right.
Going back to the days back in college where I was saying Final Fantasy 11, Rich and I shared a character, and there were some times that we would be playing at the same time, we'd had a side character, but primarily focus on one. But sometimes we would be gaming, and honestly, we would go downstairs to like the cafeteria where you can like exchange like your dinner coupon for like $5 worth at the store, and we would get like a 2-liter of like cherry Coke, not diet, regular, and we would like binge an entire like 2-liter in an evening, like each, and wonders why I gained 50 pounds in college.
I could do that no problem. I don't know what's the problem with you, man.
Yeah, I had a buddy.
Wasn't your character's name Yellsrub? Something
what?
Like that? Well, your character was Bursley backwards, wasn't it?
That was our side character with Yellsrub. Yes, you're right. Our main character was Twilight.
You gained. Wait a minute. Back the fucking truck up. You gained 50 pounds in college.
I did.
Yeah.
In the first
both of them did.
In the first 2.5 years, I gained 50 pounds because of that, and it took a couple of years to lose it all. So
yeah,
I was able to lose it all, like by the time I got married.
I was a weirdo who lost weight when she went to college, but I also commuted and I did not dorm.
Freshman 50. That's a little different.
It was over the course of 2.5 years, but I went beyond the 15.
All right. Hey, guys, it is getting late.
Yeah,
it's
we should be wrapping up. I've been trying to get in here to wrap things up for the last 10 minutes, but...
Sorry.
That's the way it is. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us tonight on Tavern Talk. We will be playing this Friday night at 7 o'clock on this channel on Twitch. And tomorrow night, be sure to check us out, Nerds with Alcohol, at 8 o'clock every Tuesday. And once again, on this channel. Also, you can see the show on YouTube a couple of days later. You can download the episodes everywhere that quality podcasts can be found. iTunes, Google Play, radio.com, Stitcher, iHeartRadio.
All those places.
All the places. And
this one's not there, though. We don't put this one up.
We don't.
Just the Nerds with Alcohol show.
That's our Nerds with Alcohol show. Or you can find our shows also at nerdswithalcoholshow.com.
So, yep. Well, I'm just going to say goodnight. We'll be here tomorrow night. So,
absolutely.
I had fun. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for coming out, guys. It was a lot of fun talking D&D and a bunch of other stuff, too.
Yeah.
I do have one thing for you, Pete. You're over there. I always got to point the opposite direction because my camera's flipped.
Okay.
So I do have one thing for you. We can talk about it afterwards, but
sure.
But yeah, so I will talk to you guys all later on. Have a good night. Thanks a lot for hanging out, guys, and we will talk to you later on. Hopefully, see you tomorrow night and/or Friday.
Yeah.
So,
Peace.
see ya.
Have a good night.